customer service, done right, can be your company's single biggest competitive advantage. Welcome to the Customer Service Revolution. Join customer service authority and best-selling author John DeJulius as he interviews leaders who are revolutionizing their industries. This is more than a podcast, though. It's a movement. The Customer Service Revolution is a radical overthrow of conventional business mentality designed to transform what customers and employees experience. If you're a revolutionary customer service leader who's ready to stop competing on price and obsessed with building a brand that people cannot live without, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Customer Service Revolution podcast with John DeJulius. This week, John talks with customer experience and digital marketing pioneer Baer. Jay has spent nearly 30 years helping the world's most iconic brands gain and keep more customers. Jay has written 6 best-selling books and built 5 multi-million-dollar companies. Today, John sits down with Jay to talk about his new research white paper, A Time to Win. In this episode, you'll learn how speed is one of the most important components to delivering a great customer experience, how your business can give your customers the gift of time, how consumers view speed being equal to caring, how you can do different time studies in your business to improve your speed and overall consistency of your employees. And, as a licensed tequila sommelier, Jay offers a sleeper tequila for you. Now here's your host, John DeJulius.
Hello, revolutionaries, and welcome to another episode of the Customer Service Revolution podcast. And today, I have someone special. I have Baer, who is a customer experience and digital marketing pioneer, expert advisor, research, and analyst. And Jay has been inducted in the Hall of Fame of professional speakers and word of mouth marketing. We've had him present at the Customer Service Revolution a few years ago and was one of the highest rated speakers we've ever had. And he's written several books, and he's founded several companies, and he's just crushing it. And now Jay has new work that he's been working on that I want him to share with us. So first, welcome, Jay.
Thanks so much, John. Fantastic to be back on the show. Revolutionaries, hope you are doing great. Whatever John says, you listen closely, and it'll make your business better.
Thanks, Jay. And one of the things I'm going to jump to right now that is so cool, I was just telling you, I heard about this on a podcast about you, which isn't unusual, but this one thing was that Jay, since you can't see him, Jay is known for his plaid suits. Unfortunately, today, since we're not on, he has just given me his hairy chest to look at.
Wearing a velour bathrobe, which is not exactly suitable for the show. But yeah, I do it. I've got 14 different plaid suits in every color of the rainbow. And the way it works, John, is that when meeting planners book me to give a presentation, whether it's a keynote or as an MC and event host or both, they get to go to a special website. You can do it now. Go to dressjbaer.com, and it has all the suits listed there. And you get to pick out which one you want me to wear at the event. And then it goes on my calendar. So we wrote a little software program in the back. It drops on my calendar so I know what to pack. And it's amazing because now the meeting planner is kind of in on the bit, right? They feel like they've got some sort of control, and they do. And sometimes, and this is really fun, they'll pick out their 3 favorites and then take those 3, put them in an email to the audience, and the audience of the event gets to pick out which suit I wear.
Wow.
That's really fun too. But I got to tell you, I didn't do it necessarily initially as sort of a personal branding device. I wish I was that smart. I did it for a more utilitarian purpose. It was really just for wayfinding. Because you step off stage and you want people to be able to come up to you and ask you a question or hire you or whatever. And sometimes there's another speaker after you, or you go right to a break or a luncheon and everybody scatters. And John, like in most events, the men dress very similarly, right? It's blue suit, gray suit. And even though I'm a pretty large person, it wasn't that easy to find me. So I got to give people an easier method to find me later in the day. And so I just started to get progressively more interesting suit patterns, and it started to really, really work. And then I'd get more interesting yet and more interesting yet. And so it's been a real thing. And now it's my calling card. I am very careful, though, for it to not cross over into parody, right? I don't want to be like Craig Sager or Don Cherry or some of these sportscasters, right? Where you're like now a cartoon character. I don't want it to be like this guy is frivolous or untrustworthy in some way. So I want it to be distinct, but not goofy, which is a fine line to walk for sure.
No, I love it. And the fact that you've taken it to a level of client engagement and attendee engagement is so cool. Gets them involved. Because I always have this on the checklist of the pre-call questionnaire. Hey, how would you like me to dress? And, had the,
I don't give them that choice. I say, this is how I'm dressing, but you can pick the color.
Yeah. Now, can I purposely mismatch you?
Oh, that's a funny question. It's not set up that way to go like red pants, green jacket, but maybe I should do that. Maybe that'll be my 2023 move that you can mix and match. And I've actually thought about putting some funny ones in there, like suit of armor, right? Like some other things.
Well, since we haven't gotten to this yet, but since you're a how do you say it? Sommelier, what is it?
Yes, tequila and tequila it's catador, but sommelier, I guess, is how you would say it for wine.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Couldn't you do that? Like this pairs well with these three jackets, or
this suit is exactly what you want with a fine reposado. Exactly.
I love it. Hey, here's one more reason why I need to do something like this. So this has happened to me often. I guarantee it hasn't happened to you. I don't think it has happened to you, and it just happened to me last week at my own conference, where you think it was less likely to happen. So I speak on the big stage, right? We speak on the big stage. I get off. Then speakers, after they're done speaking, head to the speaker table so the attendees know where to find you and take pictures. And you don't know those seal. So I go back to the table and a guy comes back and he says, "Where is he?" I said, "Where's who?" He goes, the guy that just spoke. I go, "That's me." He goes, "No, really, where is he?" And I wish I would tell you this, and this has happened at least a half a dozen times that people have actually told me that I didn't look like the guy on stage, and they just can't believe how not tall.
Like, not only am I the guy, but it's actually my conference. That's even a bit of a blow. Do you have some sort of weird lighting that you're using on stage, which changes the very perception of your being?
Well, I assume they don't think I'm as short as I am, so that's why.
Could be.
When I was on the dating apps, I always had the big stage thing, so I looked like I was 6.
One word for you, John.
Yeah.
Sombrero. That's it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, giant cowboy hat. That's going to be your calling card.
There you go. There you go. I love it. All right, how many books do we have currently? 6 books. And
6 books. 7 of them are good.
My favorite is Hug Your Haters. Where does that fall?
Hug Your Haters was my 5th book.
Okay, good. And that's what you spoke on. And I'll put a link to everything, Jay, in the show notes. But you got to read Hug Your Haters. It was transformational for even my team, who we like to think we know a lot about customer experience, but just how you've just helped people manage more professionally social media. And obviously, when you have detractors on social media.
Yeah, it's hard, though, because now that I'm doing less tequila stuff, now I'm actually dealing with the public, right? So my career has been primarily dealing with businesses and giving business advice. But now that I'm this tequila influencer, you can find me on Instagram, Tequila J Baer, and I've got hundreds of thousands of followers there. I get all kinds of haters, and it's I'm like, man, I got to read my own book, because there's times where I'm like, look, pal, I'm not getting paid to do this. So why don't you back off a little bit? Right. So yeah, it's actually kind of interesting.
That's what you want to say, but what do you say, Jay? What do you teach us?
Well, I try and follow my own advice, which is kill them with kindness, right? So the more angry or aggressive they are, the more kind and empathetic that you should be. And of course, it works every time. It disarms people. And then I also follow my advice, which is the rule of reply only twice, that despite how often you feel the need to correct them or make sure that you are right or that you get in the last word, never get into a tit and tat back and forth, especially in social media. It is counterproductive and it won't work. You're not going to convince them if they're just there to argue. You reply twice and then you move on. And if it doesn't get settled, well, it doesn't.
Yeah, and Jay, I'd love to. I get this question asked a lot, and I think you would be the best expert to ask on this. So, everyone noticed this since the pandemic. I don't know if we can say 3 years, but going on 3 years since, customer rage seems to be at a heightened level.
Mm.
And so, my advice, and tell me if where I have it right, and maybe where I have it wrong, though, is the first thing we have to understand. Now, obviously, put a pin in the abusers, right? The verbal or physical abusers, that we're not talking about them. And hopefully for the vast majority of us, it's that's such a low percentage, right? The people jumping over the counter and getting physical. But for the rest of us, my thoughts are, expect them to have a shorter fuse because what they've been going through the past 3 years. B, don't take it personally. Because I've even sadly recall multiple visits over the past 3 years of leaving a place, driving home saying, why was I such an asshole to the cashier or the hostess or the support center person? And while I didn't like what they were doing or they wouldn't do for me, my reaction didn't fit, right? And then I realized, my reaction is more off what's been going on today, this week, than what she actually did or didn't do.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's what I try to teach my staff is you may be the punching bag, the tipping points.
You've got no idea what's going on in their life. You've got no idea, right? Nobody's interacting with anybody in a vacuum, right? Everything else in their life colors how they handle every scenario with your own kids, with your friends, with your colleagues, and certainly in a customer service experience.
Yeah. And so that's what I say. So any additional...
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things on that, John. I mean, first, the ACSI, the American Customer Service Index, which measures customer satisfaction across the totality of business categories, is at the lowest it's been in like 30 years, right? So we can say empirically, mathematically, that customers are less satisfied today than they've been since like Jimmy Carter was president, right? So that's hard to do, given the fact that we've spent, partially because of you and me, billions of dollars on customer service and customer experience, quote unquote, optimization. We're still obviously disappointing a lot of customers. And there's a couple of reasons for that, I think, right now. One, certainly customers expect more, right? So customer expectations never go backwards. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I've never heard a customer say, yeah, it's okay if you don't do that as well or as fast or as cleanly or as empathetically, right? Customer expectations always go up, and I think they tend to go up faster than business can improve customer service and customer experience, so the gap grows. Second, right now, a lot of businesses have personnel that are very, very new in their role. It's like in the pandemic, we decided to play musical chairs with jobs, and everybody either quit or changed jobs or tried to up level to a different job, and all of those chips are now kind of resting on the table. And the consequence is that nobody has any experience. Now, I've got a lot of friends who own restaurants here in Bloomington, Indiana, where I live, and a lot of them say they got 50 people on their team. 2 people have been there longer than 6 months, right? So that makes for a tricky customer service scenario.
Yeah, I mean, just the lack of, me walking in and you saying, hi, have you ever been here before, offends me. Right. And, have I ever been here before, pal? Have you ever been here? But I've been coming here for 8 years. I'm a VIP. I have your boss on my speed dial. Right.
Yeah. And they got no idea.
Now. Yeah.
They have no idea. And so that's challenging. And then the third thing, and I've got this new research report that's based on this notion. It's called The Time to Win. I did a huge national research project recently on speed and responsiveness and how important it is in business. And what we found in this research, John, is that because of the pandemic, not entirely because of the pandemic, but certainly partially because of the pandemic, all of us care more about time and how we spend it than we used to. We were all forced to confront a reality, which is that every single one of us only has 1,440 minutes a day. And it doesn't matter whether you're Elon Musk or somebody experiencing homelessness. It doesn't matter if you're an American or Venezuelan. It doesn't matter if you're a grandfather or a grandson. We all have the exact same amount of time. And in fact, time is the only thing that is shared equally by everybody. There's nothing you can do to change this 1,440 minutes a day. And all of these trends that we talk about in business now, quiet quitting, the great resignation, work from home, leisure travel, which is the combination of business and leisure travel that's a big trend right now. All of that is part of the same trend, which is that we care more about time and how it's spent. And so what we found in this research is that customers expect business to be faster than ever. They don't care that your staff is new. They don't care that you got supply chain problems. They don't care. They want you to be faster than ever. And when you do that, when a business is faster than customers expect, what it feels like to the customer is that you have given them a gift of time. And it creates demonstrated loyalty advantages, sales advantages, psychological advantages, word of mouth advantages. Conversely, if your business is slower than the customer expects, they will stop giving. They'll stop giving you money, right? Yeah, you're in big trouble, right? They won't give you money. They abandon you for competitors. A lot of bad things happen. So, John, you and I are both familiar. Everybody probably listening has heard this. It's been a chestnut in business for decades, I guess. You know, this idea that good, fast, cheap.
Yeah.
Pick any two. What this research, the Time to Win, found is that fast needs to be one of them. Fast is no longer negotiable. Your business has to be fast. And then you can decide in your business whether you want to be fast and good or fast and cheap, but you damn well better be fast.
I love that. No, this is great. And what you're referring to is what we are really on the phone to talk about besides tequila and your suits. But your research paper, which I have a link in the show notes.
Thank you.
Called The Time to Win, which is theTimeToWin.com. And I love this. And, you know, Jay, something I've always talked about that you're really bringing to life is that I tell my clients, I say, listen, everyone in this room competes with Amazon, Google, you know, Zappos and anybody else either. And, you know, they question like, no, we don't sell online. We don't. I said, listen, Google and those companies have changed the level of patience for all of us. And if me and you are talking about, you know, who won the World Series in 75,
yep,
one of us could find that out in 10 seconds, you know, and I feel better. And we had a situation in my first business, spa, where a bride called up, got put in the, she wanted to book her bridal party, got put into our bridal coordinator's voicemail. She said, yeah, I want to know if you can handle a party 18 months from now. I'll have, you know, 12 or 13 people in my, you know, the bridal party. Can you do our makeup, hair, yada, yada, which is an easy yes. And it's a perfect yes. It's like, please, you know, can I book you at full fee for the next 10 months, right? So our bridal coordinator calls her back the next day to give her the good news, and too late. She booked it. And the anxiety, this is her words, the anxiety, this is 18 months from now, right? And you can go to Bridezilla or whatever they're called, but she hated having that on a to-do list.
Yep.
The unknown. She wanted to check it off, put it behind her, and move on to the photographer, florist, or anything.
Absolutely.
And because we didn't return her call which 5-10 years ago would have been considered exceptional customer service within 24 business hours, and we could get a pissing match and say, well, that's obscene, that's unrealistic, or and accept the loss of money, right? Yeah. We have to figure out how to not let that happen.
It's so true. In fact, we measured that precisely in this research, John. And it turns out that 53% of consumers have, in a competitive scenario, hired a business that was the quickest to respond, even if they were not the least expensive. Because consumers now equate speed with caring. They believe if you're faster, you care more. Is that true? Is that true? Probably not. But that's how we perceive it. And it's because we believe, again, this may or may not be accurate, it probably is in some cases, but we believe this to be true. If they're not the fastest before we give them money, how fast are they going to be once they have our money?
Right.
And so what I tell my clients is, in any scenario where you might be being shopped against competitors, you have to do whatever is necessary from a personnel standpoint, a process standpoint, and a technology standpoint to be the first responder. Because it is like literally a direct relationship. Responsiveness equals revenue. Period.
And I'm assuming this report covers all communication channels or multiple?
So that question about would you hire somebody if they were more expensive, they were fastest, does not mention communication channels per se, but other places in the research, we ask very specifically, how long do you expect it to take to get an email, to get a contact us form, to get a social media, to get a live chat, every single
website attended.
All of it. Yeah. We measure all of it. And it's actually funny, even something that a lot of businesses think are like not urgent. So like a contact us form, right? So I think it's true in most businesses, you would say, hey, if a consumer is reaching out to us via a contact us form on a website, it's probably not that urgent because there's other mechanisms that they would reasonably use to contact us if they needed something right now. They would call us. They might email us. They might come in to see us. They might hit us up on social media. They might even text us if that's an option. But if they use a contact us form, it's probably not that important. Turns out, a majority of consumers expect a contact us form response within one business day. And a lot of businesses don't do that, right? They kind of leave that for the end. Like if we get around to it, we'll do the contact us forms.
Yeah.
And that's a mistake.
No, I'd love to get your idea on this. Jay, do you recommend to businesses to obviously limit their channels so they don't have to? I guess it's based on the size of their company. But if I say, hey, Jay, customer, you can contact me, Facebook message, Twitter, TikTok, all these things, a bot, all those things. I think that has to leave me a little bit more exposed to things slipping through the cracks and not seeing it.
For sure. It's a real challenge because when people can back in the old days, right? What were the choices?
Phone.
You could phone face-to-face in a letter.
Right.
And put a stamp on it, right? That was literally it.
Yeah.
And now there's a preponderance. The challenge is, and I talked about this a little bit in the last chapter of Hug Your Haters, which is now 5 years ago, this idea that if you exist in a marketing channel, that will be a customer service channel, right? If you have an Instagram account, if you have a Facebook account, if you have a TikTok account, if you have a Twitter account, it doesn't matter whether you want to provide customer service there. You will, because customers will reach out wherever you exist. Right. And so would it be better for business if you said, look, you can reach us via phone or email and you sort of drew a box around that? Yeah, it would definitely be better for business. But you can't do that. It doesn't work, not at scale, because ultimately customers are going to select the channel that they are comfortable with, not the channel that you are comfortable with. So the nice thing is there are some technology solutions and other ways that you can kind of get this unified inbox, right? Which will pull all the messages in from all these different places, regardless of where they are. And so that you get one stack of all the stuff. That's probably the best thing to do for small businesses who can't just throw bodies at it.
Yeah. And so the quandrum is, all right, Jay, you're asking me to be faster.
Yep.
I'm short staffed.
Right.
How can I do that? I'm short staffed, and the staff I have, I don't like them. They're I call it coyote ugly hiring. Not many people know coyote ugly hiring, but it's like, where did this Jay Baer come from? Who let him in the door, and why is he now the VP of something in our company?
Yes, the prerequisite for employment is you're Homo sapiens, and you appear to have a pulse. So
I did see a sign last week. We're hiring. And then underneath it, no drug testing necessary.
Yeah.
I'm like, do we have to act as desperate as we really are?
Yeah, that's pretty great. I like that one. First bullet point, no drug testing. So it is a challenge, right? Because I'm asking you to be faster, yet also you've got real labor challenges. So what I will say is a couple things. One, it's almost for sure that you are spending time, money, effort in some other things that you should do less of, and move some of that emphasis into speed and responsiveness, right? Because I think we undervalue how important speed is to customers, and so we're probably overvaluing some other things. It depends on the business. Second thing I will tell you is, in some cases, your actual customers can help you bridge this gap. So this idea, and it's more common in technology businesses, but it doesn't have to be. You mentioned earlier this notion that you've been coming to a business for 8 years. You know literally more than the employees in some cases. Yeah. And what I encourage small businesses to do is say, well, let's find those people and make them part of the team. So if let's say you've got 30 loyal customers who have been there forever, say, hey, here's what I'd like you to do. Could we have new customers ask you questions about your experience as an old customer? And in exchange, we're going to give you gift cards. Like, you can literally take your best customers and make them part of your customer service team,
right,
in exchange for access, in exchange for product, in exchange for gift cards, in exchange for...
The only thing I don't like about this, Jay, is it sounds like it's putting you and me out of business.
Yeah. That's okay. We got to quit sometime, Ben. We got to be done eventually. I got to go drink more tequila.
Right. We're going to get to that. So I love this. I see here. So, speed is another way of, helping make price less relevant. 66% of customers say that speed is as important to them as price when making a buying decision, according to your report here.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing that we looked at in that report that you'll love, this is right up your alley, not only is speed as important as price in 2/3 of the cases, but a shocking percentage of customers, like 1 in 2, would pay considerably more if they never had to wait. So my new advice to people is this. You know the Disney Fast Pass?
Yes.
Right? Or I think now they call it the Lightning Lane. I don't know why they changed the name, but I think now it's the Lightning Lane. And the idea is that you pay a little bit more and you get to jump on some rides, you cut the line and get in there first. Every business should have that. Don't care what it is. Every business should have a fast pass. It's like, okay, hey, you want to have your wedding and get everybody's hair done up? All right, here's the deal. We can do that in 3 weeks, or if you pay us 25% more, we can do it in 1 week. Every business should include and create some kind of fast pass. And then the revenue that you get, the new revenue you get from that, use that to hire more people to be faster. It absolutely works in like every industry. And you're like, well, I'm a lawyer. Dude, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what business. I'm a dentist. Doesn't matter. Whatever industry you're in, if you create a fast pass level, people will buy it. And it's like free money out of the sky.
Yeah, I did this 25 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
It was here's what we did. It was more of a, so my wife was this booked out hairdresser for months. And she, this is in the early 90s, mid 90s, charging well over $100 in Ohio, which is absurd of now. So, but what I did was people would call up and say, hi, does Stacy have any openings this year, left this year, right? That would be like the normal joke. And so we blocked off a prime time spot every week, 7 p.m. on Thursday night, which is, we could fill that 100 times over. And you got to go on a line and bid on that appointment. Now, we sent the money to charity. I wasn't thinking this cleverly, but it did a lot of things. It created a lot of excitement. It was obviously a good cause, but it also told us what Stacy's next price increase should be, right? I mean, if the average thing was going at 140, 150, and she's only charging 100, we know that there's an opportunity there.
Yep. I'm telling you, everybody can do it, and almost nobody does.
Becoming the brand customers can't live without is a team effort. Want to get everyone on board and bought into becoming a world-class brand? Consider bringing John in live or virtually for a keynote or workshop. Email Claudia@thedejuliusgroup.com for more information.
Something I wrote about, Jay, and I'm sure you have in this thing is 10, 20 years ago, the direction was, do it yourself. Yep. And now it's do it for me. And yes. I guess, that is the one way where I can get more time in the day than you. If I choose to have a landscaper and you choose to go out and cut the grass yourself.
Yep.
Housekeeper to anything, concierge, have my groceries delivered to me, not go out and run errands. That's what Amazon's for. How does this affect it? And I'll ask the next question after that.
Yeah, I think it's
same.
Yeah, same. Yeah, absolutely the same. I will say this though, one of the ways that you can bridge some of that resources gap in terms of being fast is to just allow customers to solve more of their own problems. Self-service and that ability to figure out answers without talking to anybody is very desirable by consumers.
So is that FAQs? What's that look like?
Yeah, well, at some level, FAQs, chatbots, whatever, video FAQs. You know this as well as I do, if not better, that it's amazing to me, John. You say to people, look, give your customers a way to answer their own questions. It'll save you a bunch of money. And they say, yeah, we have an FAQ. And I say, cool, man, you're halfway there. How many questions do you answer in the FAQ? 7? I'm like, okay, so you're telling me that there's only 7 questions that you get on a regular basis. That is not true.
Right.
And I've done this in workshops that I've led. I said, okay, here's the deal, guys. Everybody's got a piece of paper and a pen in front of them. I'm going to give you 10 minutes, and I want you to write down 50 questions that you've gotten from your customers in the last year. And John, every single person can do it. And then I say, okay, you just wrote down 50 questions in 10 minutes that you know your customers have, and you've got an FAQ that answers 7. Why don't you fix that? Fix that.
FAQs, I assume, and this is a total guess, that is a generational thing, right? That the younger don't mind going there because they know they could probably find the answer pretty quick. And then the older generations, that scares the hell out of them and they want to speak to a human, even if that takes longer. I don't know.
In some cases,
that's true. It got everyone up to speed on that, though.
Yeah, and that's it. You nailed it, man. The boomers are so much more technology comfortable now. Huge increases in the use of text messaging for customer service, obviously huge increases with QR codes and everything else. So it's not the chasm that it once was. And you'll love this. So in the research, The Time to Win, we asked a lot of questions about generations because I wanted to know, like, what's the difference between Gen Z and boomers in terms of responsiveness and expectations and all that jazz. Turns out the least patient generation, baby boomers.
Really?
The most patient generation in terms of time with business, Gen Z. Literally, the younger you are, the younger you are, the more patient you are. Now, I don't know why it is exactly. I just know that it's true. And so I was talking to somebody the other day, and he said, well, maybe it's because the baby boomers got less time left.
Right.
I'm like, well, maybe that is it. I don't know. That feels a little maudlin to me, but maybe that's the case. So yeah, it was.
You had to have patience to rotary dial someone because that took about 15 minutes.
I tell you what, you got to commit to the call at that point.
Oh,
yeah.
and then my fingers chafed. I mean, it was very uncomfortable.
Getting the cord wrapped around your arm, it's a whole thing.
I love it. All right, so I'm a business owner. Where do I start? All right, yeah. So I see all these statistics. Where do I start? So here's frequently asked questions is a great one.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. I think the Fast Pass is another great one. Fast Pass offering. Yep. Third thing I would say is this. So we've talked a lot about speed here in the last few minutes, and there's no question that speed is important. But the advice is not to just be as fast as you can, because there is a point at which you can be too fast. So you ever go to a Mexican restaurant and you order enchiladas and you turn around and like 90 seconds later, they bring you enchiladas and you're like, bro, how did these enchiladas appear this fast?
I think you got the wrong table. Yeah.
Is there like an enchilada machine? Did somebody else like send these back and you're waiting for someone else to order them? Like, this is suspiciously rapid. You don't always want the fastest. You don't want the fastest eye surgeon. You don't want the fastest tattoo artist in Tulsa. Like, there are times that speed is not optimal. And so this premise that I have, and I don't talk about it in the research, but it's going to be part of the speech and the new book, is this idea of the right now. The right now is the perfect amount of elapsed time in every customer interaction. The right now. It's the perfect amount of elapsed time. And the perfect amount of elapsed time is just slightly faster than customers expect. You don't want to be way faster than they expect, like the enchiladas, because now you're starting to not trust it. You want to be slightly faster than they expect. So my advice for businesses is to figure out what is your right now. What do your customers expect when they call, when they set an appointment, when they pay, when they have a problem? And I'll tell you, the thing that's weird, John, is that nobody knows. I ask businesses all the time, how long does it take you on average to deliver sod? And they're like, well, usually it takes this. I'm like, that's not what I asked you. So every business, John, has to figure out what is the right now for them. What do their customers expect at every point in the customer experience journey. And it's so puzzling because I'll ask businesses, well, on average, how long does it take you to schedule delivery of sod for your customers? And they say, well, usually, and I'm like, no, I didn't ask you usually. I didn't ask you about the range of times it takes. I said, on average, how long does it take? And they don't know. Nobody knows. They don't measure it. They're led around by anecdotes that usually it takes 2 days, but sometimes it takes 4. And that kind of inconsistency in responsiveness is really, really hard for customers. And it creates a negative impact on customer loyalty and on revenue. So one of the best things that every business can do is to really dig into this next year is to say, okay, let's document how long does it take us to do all of these things? And then what do our customers expect? And then how can we do just slightly better than that?
A time study, right?
That's essentially it.
Yeah. And I mean, after hearing you say it, it makes so much sense because not only, does it fix the customer experience, but now if Jay, my whoever, account executive, landscaper, you name it, is significantly longer in it than the average or everyone else, we have some data to sit down and see how we can help Jay get to that speed. Or if Jay is crushing it, we need to find out what he's doing that will allow us to train everyone to execute at that level.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just amazing that this research shows how important speed is, but yet we don't really spend that kind of rigor in most businesses. We just kind of, we're as fast as we can and we try to get it done. And there isn't a time study and there isn't comparisons. Now in large businesses, a lot of times they're looking at average handle time for calls and things like that. But in most small and medium-sized businesses, they're just trying to do the best they can, but you can do better and it will pay off. Like if you are faster, they will give you money. And if you are less fast, they will not give you as much money. Like it's that simple. Responsiveness equals revenue. We got to get better at it.
Love it. Love it. Who's besides Amazon? Who is just crushing this?
Oh, there's lots of businesses that really lead with speed, and there's probably one in every category. One of my favorite examples actually is an accounting firm in Indianapolis, not far from where I live. And they're called Bogdanoff and Dodges, and they're unremarkable in every way, John. They're small business accounting, personal tax returns. There's 41,000 small accounting firms in the U.S., and they all do the same thing, and they all charge the same price, basically. There's people pick accountants based on geography, right? There's no one's like, oh my God, these guys can do math, the other guys can't. Like it's the same, right? But this business actually wins by being faster. Check this out. They have 5-minute response time for their clients. Phone and email, 5-minute response time. If Paul's on the phone, Tim takes it. If they're both on the phone, their associate takes it. If all three of them are on the phone, the front desk person takes a message and they call them back. They've engineered their business to be super fast. And a couple of things have happened. One, they've got like 75 Google reviews for an accounting firm. I've had, I think, 7 accounting firms in my long career, and I've never written a review for any. What would the review say? I got my tax return back. Looks like the numbers added up. 5 stars. Like, what am I going to write about? Right?
You're not going to jail.
I'm not in jail yet. 5 stars. So they have 75 reviews for a small accounting firm. And if you dig into the reviews, and I read all of them, almost every single one of them expressly says how responsive they are. So it doesn't matter what business you're in. If you want to make this your thing, you can. And this new research indicates that maybe you should.
I love it. And it's such an important tool to the whole customer experience ecosystem.
Huge.
One of the most important. I mean, I got to believe it's the leading indicator for ease of doing business, right? I mean, that's what we love about Amazon is, I can have the book Hug Your Haters in my hand, literally within 90 seconds, to everything else that Amazon does. And so it makes price irrelevant because I just don't price shop them because the trust factor of I'll have it here, no later than tomorrow. Is great for me.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But you're not going to win on price in some cases. You're not going to win on selection in some cases. But in most business categories, you can still win on speed. In most business categories, that's not a settled bet. Like think about accounting, like we just talked about, right? In every city other than Indianapolis, nobody has said we're going to be the fast accountants, right? And why can't that be you? Why can't you be the fast haircut place? Why can't you be the fast whatever, right? And we care about this in some categories. Like, when do you want lube in a jiffy, right? Like there are categories where speed has been important forever, but in most categories there isn't somebody who has kind of made it their thing, and it will really work if you put your mind to it.
Awesome. I love this. This is awesome as always. And we're not going to skip the real thing. We're here to talk about tequila. But in the show notes, it is the timetowin.com link for Jay's phenomenal research.
Thanks.
TheBaerFacts.com, which is where you can sign up for Jay's incredible newsletter that he sends out. JBaer.com, just to see his videos and all the stuff that he has coming up. And the most exciting part is the Jay Baer address, jbaer.com.
Absolutely.
Which I think is so super cool. All right, let's pivot. So you were ranked, I know because I'm in one of the categories, top 30 gurus in two different, and now I think three, but two different genres. Where is it? There it is. One of the top 30 global gurus in customer service, which I was proudly, I share that with you. I'm one of the other 29. And then also internet marketing, which I don't know how you can dabble at more than one thing. I have to be very narrow and deep. I'm just not that talented, but that's really cool. But now I think you have a third designation. Well, besides your Hall of Fame speaking and all that, is you're a licensed tequila sommelier, which I never can say, and a certified barbecue judge. Wow.
Also true.
So tell me, you said you were ranked top something in this.
Yeah. So if you look at people in the world who create content around tequila advice and tequila reviews, I am now the second most popular in the world. So I've got hundreds of thousands of followers on my tequila channels. If you go to Instagram and search for Tequila J Baer, same on TikTok, you can find me there. I do 4 videos a week on tequila advice and tequila education and tequila reviews. I was just in Mexico this week, meeting with a lot of brands and things like that. It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it.
So Jay, let me ask you this, because this is I wouldn't know how to do this. So after I go and I experience something in the world at a 5-star hotel or Apple, I want to write about it.
Yeah.
That seems like the normal thing. I would think after you experience tequila, the last thing you want to do is write about it.
Yeah, you got to give yourself a little time to let it process. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly fun to drink tequila and fun to know a lot about tequila. But to me, it's really about taking people who aren't familiar with the spirit or maybe just had Cuervo at one point in college or whatever, and showing them that there's a lot to it, that it really is an ancient, beautiful spirit that has a ton of different flavor profiles and expressions to suit every occasion. It's also truly remarkable how it is made, how hard it is to make, how many people are involved, how really bespoke and artisanal it is, even to this day in many cases. So I've got a real passion for it. And what I try to do is remember that the audience is on a journey, right? They're on a journey of discovery. And our mutual friend, Rory Vaden, has an amazing saying, which is that your best audience is the person that you used to be. And what I try to do is remember there was a time, it was a while ago, but there was a time where I didn't know anything about tequila. And that's who I'm trying to work with, is to say, look, if you don't know anything, great, let me teach you. And so it's really gratifying. It's not a particularly big moneymaker, but it's really gratifying. I get dozens of messages a day from people who say something along the lines of, you have totally changed what I think about tequila. You've totally changed what I buy, how I drink it, when I drink it. I'm telling my friends now to do this. It creates some real-time impact that business consulting doesn't, right? Where people, send me notes every night, like, I'm at a restaurant, what should I order? So I get that on a constant basis, which I'm happy to help if I can.
You're the 24-hour support person.
Yeah, I might have to work on that. Speaking of speed, I may need to actually figure out a way to solve that problem, because it's no joke. Like every night I have to spend like an hour answering questions. And of course, it's always at night because that's when people are drinking tequila. So it's like
I
while
have
I'm
a
watching.
feeling you like answering those questions, though.
I do. It's fun. No, it is. I do enjoy it.
I can tell.
Yeah, I do enjoy it. I dig it. But it's also a little tricky sometimes because I'm traveling or whatever.
Sure.
So I'm thinking it through.
All right. So do you have a sleeper for us? And I also need to include that in the show notes. What's the website for?
It's the best is Instagram. It's Instagram.com/tequila J Baer. Yep, I'll put it right there.
All right, love it. Because I did not want to do that. Had no interest until you started talking about it. You make it sound so good that I want to try it.
I'll hook you up. I'll give you a couple of recommendations. Actually, I have a great place to start, and I encourage everybody to download this or print it. If you go to Tequila Lists, plural, tequilalist.com, what you'll find there, I'll collect your email address so I can send you updates, but it's my list of 20 recommended brands. So if you're at a store, you're at a party, you're at a restaurant, you're at a bar, just have it, take a picture of it, store it on your phone, whatever, and then just refer back to it. And if it's on that list, I recommend it, and it's a great way to make better decisions.
And better decisions and not interrupt your Thanksgiving dinner.
No, it's just really it's a good list, and every brand on there I absolutely.
All right, so is that what we'll look for the sleeper? Or do you want to give us a sleeper a
sleeper tequila to think about?
Yeah.
Okay, let me think about a sleeper tequila that people can actually find. The problem is tequila distribution varies widely by state. So I'll give you one that you can probably find. There is a relatively new brand that's actually co-owned by somebody who was the former CMO of Bacardi. And it's the master distiller is a female. She's terrific, Ana Maria Romero. She's been in the business a long time, really great tequila producer. It's called Magenta.
Can you spell that?
Yeah, I can. It's MIJENTA. And you'll see it in more and more places. They're getting almost national distribution now. It's a really nice tequila, mid-price, so it's not super expensive. I really, really enjoy it, and that's one to look for. And they got a great brand story, good packaging as well.
So Jay, I buy liquor that I don't know well, Scotch, bourbon, all those rums.
Yep.
Based on price.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a safe way to go? I just assume if it's more expensive, it's better.
Yeah, that's definitely not a safe assumption in tequila.
All right.
Because a lot of the celebrity tequilas are really expensive because they're celebrity tequilas, but they're full of fake sugar, fake caramel coloring, fake glycerin. We call them a tequila instead of a tequila. And so I don't want to say there's an inverse relationship between price and quality because that's also not true. But some of the ones that you would recognize on a shelf, some of those tall bottles are not good tequila at all.
Okay, good to know.
And I will say one of the things to think about is if the bottle's really, really pretty, there's a reason for that.
Well, that's what I say about good looking.
because they're putting their money in the bottle, not in the juice, and you should think about why that might be the case.
Well, that's what I say about really good looking speakers, right? I mean,
that's right.
The more handsome they are, the less.
Exactly. They're
overcompensating for a lack of material.
Coyote ugly keynote. That's going to be the new trend. I love it. Great.
Jay, as always, I learned so much from you.
Thanks, buddy.
I don't know if it's been 6 or 7 years. I first met you. I didn't like you because you scored higher than me at that social media conference. And I was like, who is this
Those are
guy?
my people. All right.
What is he? He must be juggling swords to get a higher rating than me, but that wasn't the case. Still trying to find something I can lean on, but you're just damn good. You are damn good. I appreciate you. You are a rock star.
Hey, I want to come back and do your event next year.
All right. You got it.
Let's do it. Been too long.
All right. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it. I know my attendees, revolutionaries, got so much out of this. As always, you are the man. I appreciate you. And I hope this holiday season is fantastic for you and your family.
And you as well. Appreciate you.
Thank you, revolutionaries, for another episode of the Customer Service Revolution podcast. We will see you next week.
We love to read your reviews. Please be sure to share your comments and let us know what you're enjoying most on the podcast. And to hear more episodes, be sure to subscribe now on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening and being part of the Customer Service Revolution.